The cold isn't just cold, it whispers, it waits. It knows when you're alone, when your body is weak, when your mind starts to falter. I thought hypothermia was just frostbite, shivering, and pain, until I realized the storm could speak, and it had been calling my name long before I ever entered the mountains. If you think surviving the cold is simple, think again. The wind howled through the mountains, a relentless, bone-piercing scream that seemed to echo inside my skull. Each step I took crunched against the frozen snow, a sound swallowed immediately by the vast, empty white wilderness. I had underestimated the cold. Not the kind you brace against with coats and gloves, but the kind that seeps under your skin, creeping into your veins, chilling your bones, and twisting your perception of reality. I was supposed to meet my friends at the cabin near the ridge before sunset, a safe place to wait out the storm. But by the time I realized how far behind I was, the sun had already surrendered to the horizon. Shadows stretched across the ice like dark fingers reaching for me. My lungs burned with every shallow breath, my fingertips numb and useless. I felt the first whispers then, almost too soft to hear at first. It was the wind, or maybe it wasn't a voice, cold as the frost forming on my eyelashes, brushing my mind like icy fingertips. Asterisk, you shouldn't be here. Asterisk, I paused, teeth chattering uncontrollably, but the voice persisted, growing clearer, shaping itself from the howl of the storm. Asterisk, turn back. Turn back before it takes you. Asterisk, I stumbled, falling to my knees, snow filling my mouth with a metallic taste, the cold burning every exposed part of me. Panic surged. I tried to stand, but my legs no longer obeyed, trembling like brittle twigs. My coat felt heavier, as if the ice had rooted itself into the fabric, weighing me down. That's when I realized that the cold wasn't just temperature. It was alive, intelligent, patient. Every gust of wind whispered secrets of the snow, of the mountains, of the unrelenting emptiness around me. It knew I was alone. It knew my name. My rational mind screamed that this was impossible. The storm was real. The frostbite was real. But the way the cold seemed to watch me, to speak, was something else entirely. I crawled forward, my knees cutting into the hard snow, every movement agony. The trees around me groaned under the weight of ice, their branches swaying like skeletal hands, pointing in directions I didn't want to follow. I saw shapes in the darkness, shadows moving against the white, but every time I blinked or turned my head, they vanished. Only the whispering remained, riding the wind. Asterisk, it's coming for you. Stop fighting, asterisk. My teeth chattered so violently I could barely form words. Stop it. I coughed, snow entering my mouth, tasting of iron and death. Hypothermia was taking over, and with it came hallucinations, or perhaps it was the cold itself bending reality. A figure emerged from the storm, tall and thin, barely distinguishable from the trees. Its skin, or what I thought was skin, was pale as the snow, and its eyes reflected the dim light like frozen pools. It didn't walk. It glided, as if the snow supported it in ways my body no longer could be supported. It opened its mouth, and even without a sound, I heard it. Asterisk, you will become one with the cold. Asterisk, my vision blurred. My body no longer felt like my own. Limbs refused to move. Every muscle screamed in agony, burning ice crawling beneath the skin, freezing my thoughts into clarity I didn't want. I realized then that the storm had a rhythm, a consciousness. Each gust wasn't random, it was deliberate, guiding me, testing me, punishing me. The figure reached out with impossibly long fingers. I tried to pull away, but my arms were frozen extensions of snow. I tumbled into a drift, the powder swallowing me, muffling my cries. In the cold haze I could see more shapes, silhouettes gliding just beyond my perception. Hundreds of them, waiting, patient, observing. I tried to scream, but my vocal cords had frozen. The whispers grew louder, overlapping, layering, until the wind itself felt like a chorus of icy teeth gnashing in my mind. Asterisk, join us. Become the cold. Stop fighting, asterisk, and I understood then, with terrifying clarity, that this wasn't just survival anymore. This was initiation. The hypothermia wasn't accidental. It was sentient. It selected, isolated, and claimed. My consciousness began to fray, thoughts splintering, memories of warmth fading like a dying fire. The figure knelt beside me. Its presence was unbearable, yet compelling. Asterisk, you can survive, if you surrender. Asterisk, I didn't understand, but my body felt the truth. Resistance meant nothing. Acceptance meant a slim chance of life. I forced myself to crawl, dragging my numb limbs toward a faint glimmer in the distance light from the cabin. My fingers bled from frozen cuts, each step agony. The snow whispered in encouragement or mockery. I couldn't tell. The trees seemed to bend, shifting subtly to block my path. Testing my will, my mind fought. The cold offered visions, faces of friends, memories of warmth, reminders of everything I loved, and then it offered death. And somehow death looked peaceful, but I refused. Not out of bravery, but sheer instinct, survival, that singular, desperate human instinct. I clawed forward, one agonizing inch at a time. I could hear the figure behind me, the whispers merging with my own fragmented thoughts. Asterisk, it is so easy to give in. Asterisk, hours or what felt like hours passed. Darkness deepened, yet the faint light persisted. And finally I saw it. The cabin, small, weathered, smoke curling lazily from the chimney, a beacon of life in a frozen hell. I scrambled forward, using every ounce of remaining strength. The wind fought me, a relentless opponent trying to push me back, slow me down, test my resolve. I reached the door, finally, collapsing onto the threshold. My fingers barely held the handle, freezing, cracking. I pulled myself inside. The warmth hit me immediately, shocking in its intensity. My body screamed in protest, muscles spasming violently as circulation returned. I collapsed to the floor, gasping for air, eyes watering from the pain of frozen nerves thawing. The storm raged outside, but inside I was alive. For now, I could feel the cold lingering at the edges of the cabin, whispering, promising, threatening. Asterisk, you survived today. But it will return. Asterisk, I shivered violently, not just from temperature, but from understanding. Hypothermia wasn't just a disease, it was a predator, a voice, a presence that waited for the unwary, the unprepared. It didn't forgive, it didn't forget. It spoke to the living through ice and snow, claiming a part of them with every gust, every frozen touch, every whispered temptation. And I knew, as I huddled by the small stove, that I would never forget the sound of it, the feeling of it pressing against my skin and mind. Because the cold doesn't just hurt, it speaks, it waits. And one day it will call to you too. If you want to know what the storm does to those who resist, what the cold whispers when no one else is listening, and why survival is never guaranteed, let me know. The wind is patient, the ice is alive, and it will always be watching. Subscribe, stay alert, and remember, sometimes the cold speaks, and if you answer, it never lets go.